is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Good news and bad news. Good news and bad news. The good news is the market is open today. The bad news, unfortunately, we got to take a 2-day break from the weekend. So this is our last day of the week. We'll see how this weekly candle wants to turn out for the markets, the SPY. And let's see if we could live to see another day in this market. We are gapping down slightly. In a normal market, this would be a pretty decent gap down. In this market, it's like, did we even move? Pretty significant gap, though. So here's the SPY 5-minute. We are right at to below. If some of you guys join me in the not the afternoon room, but the hour and a half before that, or after the Pivot podcast, we were looking significantly at this gap, or not this gap, but this just kind of double bottom, just kind of doing a little analysis. And we are opening right back at that support. We will see what happens. But more importantly than anything, we've got some special people in the house. What is up? We got Chuck joining us. We got Albert. We got Alex, Bill, Brian, Kerry. Good morning, Christopher, Eric, Fayaz, Fabo. Good morning, Franco, Jenny, Jay, Joe, Liza's in the house. Martina, Matt R's hanging out. Paul, good morning, Remco. Ron is joining us. We got Win, Woodshed, all my peeps in YouTube land. We got Dale, Ryan, Ayush, Ola, all my lurkers in YouTube land that are just sitting back watching, not commenting yet. We love you. We love you. That's all we can say. But yeah, it's gonna be probably another wild day, more volatility, probably toward the end of the day. People are going to want to readjust their positions. And we've seen the market is, even with the banks collapsing, Deutsche Bank, I believe, was down 10% pre-market. I'm not sure if it still is, but you just see one after another of bank news come out. So when the Fed tells you there's no contagion, they don't expect any of this to spread to other banks, yada, yada, yada. Inflation is transitory. Banking issues are transitory. I think we bring back the word. I like it when they say transitory. I think it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But we saw how that worked out last time. Where inflation is not transitory, and then about 6 months later, it's the biggest issue we have, right? Now you got it's only one bank. Don't worry about it. It's SBV. But then you hear from FRC. You got Deutsche Bank. You got all the regionals pretty much clapped and just absolutely beat down. So is contagion really not spreading? Maybe we're just panicking. And the safety play, which was not really the safety play, is tech, right? So yeah, tech absolutely getting crushed and hammered and down 70, 80, 90% on certain names. Now tech is the go-to to put your money safely for some reason. Very interesting concept. But I think the market is still kind of hanging up because that is the case, right? Once we lose tech, once tech starts to roll, I don't know what holds up the market. I really don't. But this is a interesting spot on the markets to want to open. We didn't quite break down the full day of yesterday yet, although very close. We do still have one level of support. That's 390.67. So if we start losing 390.67, we start losing 390, we start holding some candles below there. And also, that was a spot we bounced off of yesterday, which means the second time we look to bounce into that zone, it probably will be a little bit. The more we pound our heads on that spot, eventually we will make some progress and start to break through. The next target takes us down to 387.36. So I'm not sitting here saying we have absolute recession happening right now. Markets are falling apart. We could see anything happen. But what we do, we have a couple more levels of support, and then we can kind of change the tunes a little bit. So technically, this is an inside day. This is a retest gap, right? So you might see a little buying up at open, probably run it up into about 393. That's what we did yesterday. I mean, the markets were buying out of control yesterday for no reason. The markets were going absolutely nuts after we just got off of Jerome Powell and Yellen, and market tanking, very weak close, no wicks down there, no nothing. Now we get a inside little candle with a little bit of a wick to the bottom, but back inside that. So we'll see if we hold some of these key levels, but it might be a little shaky out of the gate. We'll see. Let's take a look real quick at the Qs. Ayush says Hood is bearish gap and go. It could retest the double bottom from January. We'll take a look at that. And then Ayush is also looking at AAL, DAL, and Baidu. So we'll add those to the list. We'll run through that. So that's just sky is falling. Yeah. I don't know about the sky, but the stock market for sure. All right, we got the Q. So again, anything tech has been our savior. We've been holding in, and for some reason people are viewing tech. And I don't know if you guys have seen the earnings. Maybe we just forgot. They weren't great, honestly. Even if we had good earnings, the forecast was like, yeah, we're probably going to slow down. It's probably not going to get so good. Just maybe. And then investors like, it's good enough for me. At least it's not the banks. All right, we got the Q. So again, just kind of hanging out in this range. We do have a level of support, probably about 307.74. This is technically a retest gap within an inside day. So maybe look for some kind of safety net, some kind of resistance somewhere around 310.29. That would be my last VPOC, but otherwise we could see this. We haven't broken down yet, and I don't know that we do, but we still have a bunch of moving averages to help support us and bring us up higher and all that good stuff. But pretty interesting doji we got yesterday. Again, it is still inside from this, but even this candle itself is technically a reversal candle. So really, until we start breaking 315.51 at this point, I can't really say we're continuing to go bullish. Probably just get some chop. I know they don't want to let tech drop, but we'll see. We'll see who wins the fight, but it will definitely be a fight. I know in Slack we had ATVI, so we'll take a look at that. I did get a chance to pull it up. Looks like we had a little bit of a gap up, which is interesting. There we go. Pretty decent gap. It's a pretty wide gap for ATVI for Activision. Keep in mind, I believe Microsoft still has a bid in for this company. I can't remember the correct price. I think it was somewhere around 92, maybe it was 95, somewhere in that zone. That zone is going to, unless the deal comes through and they actually buy the company for that will give us some kind of ceiling on this company until we get some news out again. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like, was that earnings today? No, probably not. Maybe some news based off the acquisition. Decent little gap. We are clearing some pivots, which looks interesting. We are getting above some higher volume areas at this point. Probably, if you are a bear on Activision, you're going to want to save this, bring this thing back down. You don't want to see this thing get past 86.90. So 86.90 will probably be some kind of ceiling for today. If the bulls are able to bring it past that, then we have a lot of room up to $91. And if we want to play it safe, about $90.83. So it does have some more room to the upside. I would love to see some kind of pullback candle, right? We do have gap and go over a good resistance though. So I don't know if I expect too much of a pullback. But even if we get down to 83.35, that might be a very interesting spot to bounce off of, to look to buy it up from there. But ATVI does look interesting in terms of a gap. I'd have to want to say bullish. I can't really see this one fading too much. The only thing that I could see is maybe a little profit taking from anybody that did get bullish in the last, this is since February. So really the last 2 months, if anybody was getting in bullish there, this is a good gap, take some profits and probably does push higher. So see if this one actually pulls back a little bit, but it is a gap and go, and we are clearing a lot of pivots. It's a big gap though, big gap. Maloney says, DJ Dan, today's song should be Skyfall from the Bond movies. I like that. That's a good concept. It's a good concept. Hector says you and me both. Maloney is mad at NVIDIA. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing. I do still have, so I took out, the one that I took out yesterday, I sold. I just took the quick loss because I was like, yeah, this thing's still running. I had small time frame on it. And then I re-picked up another put on NVIDIA for January. I was like, that's got to be enough time. Come on, NVIDIA. Really? 271? I mentioned yesterday. I honestly think the value of this company max is about $70 a share. So I'm like, give it some time. We'll see what happens. We obviously have some selling pressure that comes in up in this higher range. We also gapped above it because it's NVIDIA. We're just going to keep on gapping. And that's why I took out so much. That's why I took out so much time on it, is just because NVIDIA can be stubborn. All right. It can be very, very stubborn. I just don't think the valuation where we're at now is correct to the price. And even if I am absolutely wrong, eventually this will get some kind of a pullback. This will have to retest, I think, at some point. I would imagine. Might get a pew on it. Which I got a chart. Let's see. Yeah, possibly. This is Schwab. It's probably ABC. Yeah. Looking for the break bullish. For Schwab, yeah. If we break, if we break this, we still have limitations though on this one. So until we break that bigger downtrend, we'll have to see on that one. Eventually the banks will get the banks will have a bounce at some point. I do think that. I don't think we're all out of it. Here's even the head and shoulders on NVIDIA. Let me make my chart for myself bigger. I think you guys could probably see it. But here is the inverted head and shoulders, and definitely a strong head and shoulders. Usually that neckline comes back for a retest. So worst case, and I'm thinking maybe double top up here and we could get some kind of a pullback. I don't know if it's going to be that drastic. We probably do this and then we do this again and then we do this. So I'm giving that some extra time just in case, but eventually I do think NVIDIA pulls back. I don't know. Their earnings weren't that great, but they did utilize the word AI a lot. So that I appreciate. So we'll see if this thing kind of does want to pull back, even into some volume area 240. Most likely, this is what I think the chart looks like. Eventually, I maybe go a little bit higher. Who knows? But I think this happens. That's a good spot to get some kind of bounce. We do something like this, maybe a new higher high. We'll see, and then we come back down. So I think we still have some time for all this to kind of clear out. But for now, we'll see. All right, let's take a look at Hood. Pat is in the house. Good morning, Pat. In YouTube land, we got Hood is a gap and go. Let's see. On the daily, I don't really see a gap and go. Oh, yeah. And then you said Hood is a retest gap, actually. Yep. Yeah, we'll see where this thing opens. Right now, it looks like we're still hovering in, but yeah, probably about 4.5 minutes ago, this thing maybe was gapping down a little bit more. Still looks really weak. I would assume, again, there's a little net of safety at around this 84.50. I'll call it 84.50, but maybe around 84.54. Probably wants to come back, retest, and then collapse, I would say. But that's not a great look for Hood. Not a good look. The one thing too, and again, if you want to go long on Hood, not saying you have to or you should, but if you feel that that is the right move and you like Hood, okay. Well, if you do go bullish here, right? Or if you're going bullish somewhere in the zone, maybe a little bit lower, maybe you're buying it at closer to this one, which would be about $88.45, right? You at least have good risk to reward. You know where your stop is going to be. Your stop is going to be right under this pivot. And ideally, what you're anticipating is some kind of inverse head and shoulders, kind of like what we just looked at with NVIDIA. But this would be your left shoulder. Oops. This is going to be our left shoulder. This is going to be the head. This would be the right shoulder if we get some kind of pivot. Again, right now it doesn't look great, but you do have good risk to reward on this. If this thing does want to finally turn and move, and that would be your inverse head and shoulders, where in 2 months from now or whatever, we look back, we go, oh, yeah, there it is. So you do have a very good risk to reward if you do start buying it. Worst case, you lose an R if that breaks. So there's going to be some interesting levels around here where you maybe get some kind of bullish buying coming in. Otherwise, this looks like disaster zone right now. We do even have some decent volume on this one candle with the wick. We didn't break that wick yet, but we sure as heck got to the low of it yesterday. And we'll see if this thing wants to drop a little bit further. Matt R says GameStop is my go-to. Let's check out GameStop today. It's not at 1,000 yet. The apes promised me 1,000. Somebody's lying to me. Yeah. Again, I feel like this should be a shortable, but you really don't want to take the apes on. I don't think they have enough momentum and stamina like they had last time. Not yet, at least. Probably takes a little time to build, but maybe they could get it back. I don't think it's the same situation. I'm not sure we see another situation ever like that again, because you need that perfect storm of like massive amount of shorting and every hedge fund shorting, and then you need the internet to rile people up and be able to start squeezing them. It's very, very difficult to do. So I don't know if we ever see that run that we saw on GameStop. History does repeat itself, so we'll see. But yeah, if this thing comes down, probably a level that they might be looking to buy it is about 21.98. I don't know if any of the apes have seen a chart ever, to be honest. I think they just buy, so it's a little different. Let's see, we got AAL. Yeah, so airlines were a little bit weaker yesterday. At least midday. I didn't check them at the end of the day. Yeah, not a great close for them, but you do have a little bit of level support. This is a retest gap, so this one would be more of an actual gap down for right now. Again, maybe in the hood might do it before the next 11 minutes. We'll see, but still looking kind of weak on hood. Probably most likely, if you want to short this thing, it's still the direction. You probably get bought up here somewhere around this price point of 1368 would be a decent spot to continue shorting. I don't really see too many levels that could really hold us up. We do have even that one we're below at this point. Probably a decent short. Maybe we could get one green candle in AAL, and then I'm looking for targets all the way down there, which is about 1270. That'd be a massive day today, but I really don't see a lot of support on this thing. Let's push this one higher on the list. Maybe we get some shorts on some airlines. Speaking of airlines, we did have somebody said, could we look at Boeing? LUV is all the Boeing looks. Can this one finally break down? Like, does anyone want to sell? Sure does look like we again, we are still in some of those bottom wicks. It does not look great. Eventually, I think we probably get down into this 189.09 area. I will move Boeing higher on the list. This one might move a little too quick. We might need some pre-market levels to take some kind of break on. And let's take a look at that real quick. I would love a good short on Boeing, though. Retest extended hours. We have any kind of double bottom, anything crazy. Not even giving me like a really nice support resistance. I would assume probably if we start breaking this 194.95 zone, that would be interesting. I would much rather see this thing get bought up a little bit. Shouldn't be hard to do. It's Boeing. It only goes up. But we got, if we could get back to this 197.83, that would be an interesting spot to try it. Anywhere from like 195 to really like this 205 zone. So this is a much bigger level of support. It might be a little bit more difficult to short this one, but definitely have it higher on the list. I just know anytime I've seen 195 on Boeing, this thing just gets bought up. So we'll see. The apes are all billionaires living in private islands until the SEC comes, and then they go, listen, Sam Bankman-Fried, we've got a new house for you. We did some shopping. You get 3 meals a day here. Delta I kind of like better than AAL, to be honest. Again, all these things are just still at some like, they need to hang in there, but they all look very, very weak. Anything airline related looks extremely weak. And I think your best bet is down south. Wave count wise, I think this is the double top, and this is probably your one. But let's say I'm wrong on that one. So right now, this is the longest wave. So I'll say this is a 3. Meaning this is a 1, 2, 3. I think we're in wave, that's 4. So wave 5, a decent bounce spot yesterday. Didn't look like it's holding this morning, and this wave 5 could continue. And if I'm wrong on that wave count, and this is a kind of the ABC from before, that makes this a 1. That would make this a 1. This is a 2. This is a 3, which would be much, much bigger, probably back down into 20, I'll call it 29.50, and 4, 5 into 27.61. That would make a lot of sense. Jerome is saying square, aka block, aka fraud. Let's see. Do we do it again on square? Square. Funny enough, it's kind of back to where we tried it yesterday. I don't know if again, the only thing really supporting this thing right now is this zone. So somewhere in the zone where we're holding, where we're opening, it is an inside day. I don't think we're gonna have the same feelings that we had yesterday in square. So I don't know. Like yesterday, we were just playing sentiment, we're playing momentum, we're playing people getting trapped and having to move their positions around. Essentially, that's all we were playing. Now that that's already kind of happened, we probably have to wait a little bit. At least for me, Jerome, we are now inside of this big massive high wave with, I mean, crazy volume. We are at a little bit of support. This could be chop zone in here. So until it really now starts to break out, one way or the other, yeah, I mean, this is a really good support. So I was going to say my guess is to the downside, but it doesn't have to be. But if we start breaking lower than probably 58.97, we probably push a lot lower, and then anything above 62.68, I probably go bullish on. But right now we are in a little bit of chop on square, so we'll have to see. SMN said, "What strike did I buy? I got the 260s for January 2024 on Nvidia." Roku. I do believe we have an official swing trade on the Rokes. It has not done anything yet. It's hanging out. We are still above that high wave, which is good. We got some volume. We're just crushing inside. For day trade purpose, there's not a lot on Roku that I see today being in this chop zone. Swing trade, we do have a bullish one that is currently active, so we'll see. But that does look a little double toppish, so we have to see which way that thing wants to break on Roku. We got Tesla. The Tessie, not that attractive today as well. You said Baidu, so let me take a look at that one. That one looks interesting. All right, Baidu, let's scoot that one all the way up to the top of the list. Let's see. I don't know if we get the red candle on this one, but let me see if there's any pre-market levels, anything that we could be looking to buy off of. What do I got left? 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Let me log into the broker as well while I'm doing this. Roblox says a gap and go. Yep. Nothing really pre-markets. We have a few levels of support here. We do have the VPOC. Pre-market is not going to mean as much. I'm just going to keep it on the list. We're going to watch it, but I do like it a little bit to the bullish side. So we'll see how that wants to play out. Let me get into this account again. Get my day trade sheet up. Perfect. Let's get everything locked and loaded. Let's take a look real quick at Roblox. RBLX. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some interesting gaps, but kind of even from the initial look at the SPY, I'm like, yeah, things could get a little choppy. Things get a little bit choppy, and I'm looking at some of these charts, and I'm like, yeah, there's definitely some decent, interesting gaps, but we also have we don't have a lot of room to run on a lot of things. Baidu might be my favorite so far, but Boeing could definitely break down. That was a very interesting one too. Delta, more continuation possible. Yeah, again, so this is a gap and go. Looks decent. I'm just very, very concerned about some of those levels. So like max, I think we probably look at 44.99, and if that breaks, that becomes definitely. Let's try to catch the momentum on that one. ATVI retest. I don't know why it's gapping, so there might be some news from Microsoft. If there's news on Microsoft, ATVI has the ability to continue to run. It is a really, really nice gap. I don't think this one gets filled today, so I don't think this is a pure fade. I think it does come down, and we probably want to play ATVI bullish. If you're going to play this thing bearish, probably looking for about 81.70 would be your end game on that one today. But yeah, it just depends on what the news is on that one. That's all. Let's see if I have time. 25 seconds. Shares of Activision rose Friday after the top UK competition authority said it was narrowing the scope. Okay. Microsoft in January. Buy a cash deal. All right. So that's not really based on Microsoft. It's based on the competition. So maybe we could get a bigger fade on that one. We will see. People have been in this thing for a while trying to play arbitrage. We only got 2 seconds left. That means everybody in YouTube land, I do appreciate you coming in and hanging out each and every day. Make sure on the way out, you guys hit that little thumbs up, subscribe, and do all the things that other YouTube people tell you to do. That is much appreciated. Otherwise, you can check out reallifetrading.com. We do this live every single day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. at night. So we would love for you guys to come hang out with us. But until next time, enjoy the day.